You ever get that gut feeling like, don't go in there, but you go in anyway? That was me. So listen. My older brother Caleb bought this old-ass house on the edge of our hometown in Alabama. The Holloway House. Locals whispered about it like it ate children or some shit, but Caleb, he was like, hell yeah, fixer-upper opportunity. The house looked like a murder scene even before we touched anything. Rust-red sinks, wallpaper curling like skin after a sunburn, and a smell like mildew and forgotten prayers. Creepy, sure, but it was just old. At least that's what I told myself. Until Caleb found the basement. The realtor swore the place didn't have one. Hell, even the blueprints said no basement. But one night, while Caleb was redoing the floors in the dining room, he found a trapdoor. Hidden. Nailed shut. He FaceTimed me all hyped like a kid finding treasure. Dude, he said, there's something down here. Like for real. And like an idiot I came over. The door was old as hell, iron ring and everything. We pried it open and it was just this black pit. Tears. Stone. Deep. Looked like it led straight into Satan's basement apartment. I said, you're not seriously going down there, right? He grinned like a lunatic. Come on. What's the worst that could happen? I watched him take 2 steps down. That's the last time I saw him. Called the cops. They did the whole dog and flashlight routine. Said it was just a root cellar. No blood, no signs of foul play. They even walked down there and came back up like nothing happened. Said maybe Caleb got cold feet and bailed. Left his truck, his phone, his wallet. But, makes perfect fucking sense. I waited a week. Then I went back. Alone. The house was off. Not haunted movie off. Just wrong. The air felt thick like breathing soup. I had Caleb's flashlight, a crowbar, water, and enough bad ideas to win a Darwin Award. I opened the trapdoor. It was still there waiting. I stepped in. Basement looked like, well, a basement at first. Dirt walls, webs, that earthy rotten stink that every horror movie ignores, 'cause it ain't cinematic enough. But this smell, it hit different. Like meat that laughed before it spoiled. The stairs creaked like they hadn't been stepped on in decades. Maybe centuries. I kept the flashlight steady, though it started flickering after step number 6. Course. Caleb probably didn't change the damn batteries. The deeper I went, the colder it got. Not like, ooh, spooky draft cold, I mean legit bone deep, like something in there wanted the warmth sucked out of me. About 15 steps down, I realized the walls had changed. They weren't dirt anymore. They were smooth. Carved. Like someone or something had taken the time to chisel out these weird-ass symbols. Circles inside circles, spirals, stick figures with limbs too long, and these gaping mouths. All over the walls. No language. Just chaos. Then the light went out. No flicker. No warning. Just gone. It is dark. I stood there like a jackass, trying not to piss myself, whispering Caleb's name like he was gonna jump out and say, gotcha. He didn't. Instead, I heard this dragging noise. Real slow. Like wet rope slithering across stone. Pulled out my phone. No signal, naturally. But the flashlight still worked. I turned it on. That's when I saw the tunnel. Not a room. Not a basement. A whole-ass tunnel system, stretching out into blackness. My gut screamed turn around, but my heart said Caleb's in there. So, like a dumbass, I took a step forward. The air down there felt wrong. Sweet and rotten, like flowers blooming in a grave. The deeper I went, the more twisted the architecture became. One section of the tunnel had teeth carved into the arch above. Like a goddamn mouth. I turned a corner and found the first chamber. It was lit. Swear to God. Lit with candles that hadn't burned out. Dozens of them, in rusted holders, melted down to stubs. In the center was a big slab. Stone. Thing. I won't pretend I didn't know what it was. I've seen enough horror flicks to recognize an altar when I see one. Chains hung from the ceiling. Hooks lined the walls. One of the candles flared up when I stepped closer, like it knew I was there. And then I heard my name. Not echoing through the tunnels. Not from the shadows. In my fucking ear. Anna! I spun around and almost dropped the phone. No one. Nothing. But the whisper had weight. Felt wet. Like breath from something that shouldn't be breathing. Then I saw the camera. Old school VHS camcorder. Still on its tripod. Still pointed at the slab. And next to it, a dusty black tape labeled in smeared Sharpie. Don't watch. So of course I took it. When I turned back, the tunnel was different. Not just darker. Shorter. Narrower. Like the walls had moved in a bit while I wasn't looking. I tried to leave. Couldn't. The stairs. The trapdoor above. Replaced with solid floor. No hinges. No seam. Like the house had eaten its own mouth. I started breathing fast, real fast. Full on panic attack mode. Tried to call out. Tried to scream. Nothing came out but static. No, I'm not kidding. I opened my mouth and it sounded like a broken speaker. And then, Caleb's voice came from inside the tunnel. Anna, help me. It echoed, but not the way sound usually does. This had a layer to it. Like it wasn't coming from my brother. Like something had recorded him and was playing it back. Still I followed it. Because I'm either brave, broken, or dumb as hell. I found the mirror room next. Mirrors. Everywhere. Some crack. Some fog. Some so clean I could see my nose hairs. Every wall was covered. Some leaned on the floor. Some hung crooked. Some stacked in corners like some twisted IKEA section. And that's where I saw him. In one mirror. Caleb. Standing behind me. I turned around. Nothing. Looked back. He was still there, in the mirror. His mouth moved. Don't listen. It's not me. And then his reflection blinked out. I felt something breathe against my neck again. And this time it giggled. That laugh, it wasn't human. It was high-pitched like a kid pretending to be happy. But something in it was broken. My knees buckled. I couldn't move. Every hair on my body stood up. Something in my brain screamed that if I turned around, I'd lose my mind. Or worse, I'd see Caleb again, but it wouldn't really be him. I don't know how long I stood there, frozen. Seconds. Minutes. Then the mirrors started humming. A low, vibrating sound like dozens of mouths whispering at once. I snapped out of it and ran. Tunnels twisted like intestines. Walls changed colors, flesh pink, then stone gray, then something like bruised skin. I passed doors that didn't open. Rooms filled with bones. Not like horror movie scattered bones, but organized piles sorted by size. At some point I dropped the tape. Didn't even notice. I turned a corner and boom, saw a ladder. Didn't care where it went. Could have led straight to Satan's taint. Climbed it. The rungs cut into my palms. Some were slimy. Climbed anyway. The top edge. I slammed into it with my shoulder. Opened. Fresh air. Freeze. I stumbled out into the woods behind the house. It was sunrise. Birds chirping like nothing had ever happened. Like the earth didn't just try to eat me alive. I turned around. No hatch. No ladder. Just wet leaves and dirt. I walked back to my car in a daze. I looked like I'd crawled out of a grave. Blood. Dirt. Bruises. But I made it. Barely. I didn't talk to the cops again. Didn't tell anyone. But I did find the tape. I had dropped it in my backpack earlier, turns out. I borrowed an old VCR from a pawn shop and watched it that night. It was Caleb. He was down there, flashlight on, looking around. He tapped the stone altar, frowned at the symbols. He turned toward the camera. And then the lights dimmed. Something moved in the shadows. Fast. Too fast. Didn't walk. Crawled on the walls. Long limbs. Jittery movements. Like a spider with a face. Caleb screamed. The screen cut to black. End of tape. I never went back to that house. I don't know who lives there now. I don't want to know. But sometimes, just sometimes, I still hear Caleb's voice. Late at night. When everything's still. Anna. He's not gone. He's just below. And something down there is wearing his voice like a coat.